incredible friends. This is your pal, Edward's here, and Steph Gobraiel. Steph Gobraiel, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, Ed?
Great to see you, Steph. Now, Steph, for all our fans around the world, where am I right now? Steph, do you recognise this place where I might be? Where am I right now?
You're near the Parramatta River.
Yeah, so I'm in the west side. I'm in Western Sydney. Is that right? Am I on the west side right now?
You are, and that looks so wrong, Ed. You
There
doing
we
that
go.
looks so wrong.
There we go. So I can say it. So this is Edwards here, live from Western Sydney, Parramatta. So I lived in Parramatta for years. So I'm originally from the west side. Now I'm a city slicker. Steph, I'm so good seeing you today. I got to say, Parramatta is a totally different world to the North Shore of Sydney, isn't it? I'm not. I've been out of here for 2 years. I don't recognise the place anymore.
Yeah, I think they're trying to build it as like the next city, like it's so that they can keep moving it out west because they're running out of space in our original city. So I think that's what they're trying to do.
And I just got to show you, I just showed Steph this before. If you look at my screen, right behind me is the brand new Powerhouse Museum that they're building. And didn't you say your husband's company's doing the concrete for it or something?
That's right, they are. Yeah. So they're taking the lead on that. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be ready in no time.
Now, Steph, you're a powerful lady. You've been kicking butt. I'll put my PC back down. I just want to ask you, Steph, today we're going to talk to our wonderful fans about sales and business networking. If you like, repost, comments, say hello. This is Steph Gobraiel and Ed live from the west side, Western Sydney, the west side. I don't know, I've been watching too much Ali G. Steph, tell us over the past year what you've learned about sales and business networking, because I've seen you really master it. What are some of your sales and business networking lessons you'd love to share with us?
I think connecting with people is the first and foremost before the sales. You can't just throw your business card at people. It doesn't work. And people still do it. Like they still email you randomly and, do all of that sort of thing. It's like people buy from people, so you've got to invest the time. Again, business is the long game. You've got to invest the time in the relationships and the rest of it. And then the sales will come naturally. I think the more you know somebody, the easier that sale's going to be. So, and that's what it comes back to.
Yeah, I love where you're going, because this is funny actually with one of my new clients today who's probably watching this. We love your work. Not allowed to mention who it is. We're having a good chat today, and they've actually worked in sales for 20 or 30 years, and they've got a new client they're looking after that's learning sales. He's basically teaching him sales. And it all comes down to it. You can't sell anything to anyone unless you have a relationship with them first. And you've told me that. Tell us a bit more about how the relationship works, how we establish that relationship, and why it's so necessary.
Well, I think you've got to invest the time. Like it's all good and great to meet people at networking events, which is a good start. But then after that, you want to jump on a call with them. You want to go on a coffee if you're close by. You really want to get to know who they are and what they do. And you need to make sure that the synergy is right between you, because it's, that synergy is not going to be right between everyone. And they could be the greatest at what they do. But if you don't feel like, there is a good synergy between you two, you might not want to do business, and that's okay. But investing that time in building that relationship, as in getting to know, like, and trust them, then the sale will come very naturally.
I agree with you, and I've been guilty of all sorts of sales practice. I've done that before. Before I saw the light, you would say, I try to sell. I've tried selling to people you have no relationship with. And it's a great way of getting a door slammed in the face, isn't it, Steph?
It is. And we all have to learn that lesson the hard way to understand that sales just doesn't work that way. It's not rocket science. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, it's not rocket science, but so few people get it, because, and that's the interesting thing is learning how to sell rocket science? No, but not many people are good at it. And that's a bit that's surprising me. Like, learning how to sell doesn't take, IQ. It doesn't take academic intelligence per se, but it takes a level of emotional intelligence and street smarts. And it's funny, actually, I found, generally speaking, the smarter someone is, sometimes the worse they get at selling. I don't know have you seen that before, or am I just a wingnut saying weird things, Steph?
No, you're right. And look, there's two types of smarts, right? This is the way I look at it, Ed. There is that street smart and there is that academic smart. So it's that life smart when I say street smart. Okay. And the people who have that life smart are a lot more intuitive to what's going on, in situations around them and the rest of it, where the academic smart is really coming from a textbook. And I might get a lot of people, sending hate mail to me about it, but that's the reality, right? Like, I mean, and look, we're not all good at everything, and that's fine. But you got to really recognize, which one you are, and if you're both, great. That's a bonus. But understanding people, and I think you said it as well, Ed. It's that connection and empathy. Right. We talk about it with leaders, they have to have the empathy. They have to have, that connection with their team. Well, it's the same as a business owner. You are a leader in what you're doing. So you need to build that connection with people. And, and that comes from emotions and, that empathy. So leaders aren't just in big corporate worlds. We are leaders in the business world as well.
And I guess when you're in your own business, and here's the thing, right? Like you and I have been employees before and we get it, right? When you're an employee for a company, you more just live life by their rules. You just do what they say and you fit it, you mold yourself into the role that they have ready for you, right?
Correct.
Which makes a lot of sense. But when you're starting your own business, even if you've got no money in the bank, you're a leader for yourself. And one thing that I've admired about you is you've been a massive business networker. You've built your business through business networking. Congratulations. And you do a lot of business networking. Tell us about some of the communities you've been involved in. Feel free to leave out the horror stories. But tell us about some of the communities you've been involved in and what are some of the things you've learned about business networking over the past 12 months?
Yep. So this year I really put a lens on networking because I talk about networking as one of the foundations in business as a business manager. And, again, it's the long game. Whatever you're working on, it's always the long game in business. And this year I decided that I was going to be a Sydney host for She Will Shine, which is one of my communities. It is all just, it's a women's business networking thing, a community. But I thought because we don't have one in Sydney, why not, right? And, Sydney is one of the largest cities, so I've been doing that all year and I've learned a lot as well. I've learned a lot about myself, the way people, perceive you, the way, just even from your behavior, Ed, people take either a liking or potentially not so much a liking to you. But I think it's the way we carry ourselves and the things that we don't say that, really people switch on to.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying. And I say this to people all the time. You're right. People either, the thing I've learned, right, is regardless of what you do, people either like us or they don't. Like, and I've learned that to be a full stop statement. I remember back in my earlier networking years, and I know we've both done the same thing. Everyone's done the same thing. Quite often when you go business networking, you're trying to become friends with everyone, right?
Yes.
And then 10 minutes later, you start to realize that is really dumb thinking. You do not want to be friends with everyone. I find that quite often. You said this to me once as well. People either like us or they don't. There seems to be no in between. They either think Ed's awesome or they think he sucks. They either love Steph or they don't. And my view is if they don't love you, they need therapy, right? They need advanced therapy that you probably can't get in Australia. Now, I just want to say, right, I couldn't agree with you more. It's all about identifying the right people to go after. That brings me to the next point. Let's say you start going to networking events, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you pick the right person you need to go after? What are some of your tips there, Steph Gobraiel?
I think you need to just speak to people. We don't want to judge, just based on what you see. So I think have a conversation and that will tell you plenty. You will know, quite straight away whether you want to have another conversation with that person or you're just going to park them and, move on to the next person. And then that's completely up to you. No, there is no wrong and right in this. As you said, Ed, you either click with people or you don't. And it's whether you want to sort of invest the time and energy to get to know them or you don't. And that's fine because everyone's different, so not everyone's gonna love us, not everyone's gonna hate us. And so you've just got to find the tribe that of people, and you've got to build your own, right? You've got to build your own circle of business connections that you do vibe with, and people will tell you like, oh, I like that about you, Steph, or oh, I love how you motivate me, Steph, after speaking to you about business. It's those sort of people that you want to keep, in your circle and keep growing it as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And friends, I just want to check in. To those watching live, big thank you. We're streaming over Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter X. If you just come in, like, repost, and comment, say hello. If you're watching the recording, please connect with Steph Gobraiel and yours truly. And I'm going to say, I love your vibes when it comes to sales and business networking. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's about us identifying the right people and going after them. So, for example, one of my great friends today who's probably watching, if you are, I'm talking about you. Interesting one, applying what you said. So, great guy. He's been to a lot of our business networking Zooms. And we actually met for the first time at our Sydney meetup on Friday. He actually came along to our Darling Harbour meetup. Great seeing you there. And we just really clicked. And I just reached out to him today saying, hey, great seeing you the other night. Here's my next workshop coming up. Do you want to book in? He just booked in right away. And interestingly, you're right. Every time I've sold to someone I don't have a relationship with, it's always been a disaster. Every time I sell to someone I've got a good relationship with, things go that right way. And I think you're right. I think a lot of us are just naturally impatient. In a way, we want to skip the date. We just want to get to the bedroom action, right? Right? I appreciate that, but it's completely wrong, isn't it, Steph?
It is. It really is. And, I'll give you an example, Ed. So back in my corporate days, there was someone that was working with my GMs to coach them. And he's been watching me for years, because he obviously knew me and he knew I worked with that person. And, I was an absolute gun at what I did. But then he watched me for a couple of years on LinkedIn and only recently decided that he wants to work with me next year. And after we had, the chat and I sent him the proposal, he came back within half an hour, Ed. Now, that is the fastest amount of time that I've ever transferred someone from a potential client to a client starting next year. Now, that's all because he knows, he likes, and he trusts me, and he's been watching me as well. And he's an amazing person. I feel so privileged that I'll be working with him. But that's all because he knows me really well. I provided the value and, a direction and structure of what we need to do. And now, within half an hour, he signed up. It was like he didn't even think twice about it. And that's all because of that relationship.
Yeah, and I bet you, right, he didn't even read the proposal. So you probably spent ages making the proposal. I bet you, so he's sitting at, I don't know, let's say you sent him a PDF over LinkedIn or emailed him, right? So let's say it's a long email from Steph, blah, 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 this big proposal. He's like, oh, yeah, I can afford that every month. Approve. I bet you that was it. Like he probably only opened the PDF just to double check the price.
Exactly. But that is the definition, right, of someone knowing you well enough that they're like, it's done. It's a done deal, right?
Yeah.
But that's what can make or break. If people don't know you, you're going to pick up on that hesitancy. You're going to pick up on, so instead of trying to sell to those people, you should be trying to provide value so they can see what you're about in order to build that connection with that person.
Yeah, right. And going on all that, one of the biggest things, and this has been like what I've been experiencing now and building my own sales skill, right? The biggest thing that I've learned is every day begins, right? And, a day lasts 24 hours. Once it's gone, we all know that, right? But what I've learned is every day you got to be selective as to who you go after, right? Because one of the biggest criticisms, so a compliment I give to myself is, yes, I was doing the volume in terms of calling and reaching out to people. But the criticism I make, though, is I'd spend too much time reaching out to people I don't necessarily have that. It's not that I haven't known them for a while, but we don't have that connection or relationship. One of the biggest things that I've learned is you have to be very selective as to who you reach out to every day. And I want to ask you, Steph, to those watching who are quite new to sales or they don't feel very good at it, what are some of your tips for helping them select every day who to reach out to?
I'd probably say start a list with everyone that you know, or not everyone, but the people that come automatically to your mind, and then reach out to a few a day. I think even if you start out by reaching out to a few a day, what you're then doing is you're sort of starting that process, because it can be, and I've only learned this as well recently in this year, that it can be. I was very hesitant to reach out to people. But what I
Yeah.
didn't realize was, because I knew, and because they knew, liked, and trust me, they were like, oh, yeah, Steph, I'll come along to your, 2024 planning. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't hard, but just getting started can be that biggest hurdle, right? In anything. So,
And my obvious follow-on question for that is, for those watching who are mobilized with fear and terrified of sales, how would you encourage them to get started?
well, if you know someone, you're really checking in, right? If you know someone, to a point that you can pick up the phone and have a conversation with them, it's really about checking in, seeing how they're doing, and saying, look, by the way, this is what I'm doing. If you're interested, here is more information, or just reach out to me and I'd be happy to have a chat about it. It's not about, here, go buy right now sort of thing. It's, again, it's that connection. It's about seeing how they're doing. It's about, checking in with that person and seeing if it's something that they are interested in at this point in time.
Steph, absolutely brilliant. I got to say, I love your thoughts and reasoning, and thanks for all your vibes. And I know you've been busy today. You've been meeting hopping. Thank you for meeting hopping and coming in. I just want to ask you a final question before we talk about you and all your cool products and services coming up. Christmas is coming up. Now, Christmas is definitely a taboo topic when it comes to business owners. And I'm going to throw some general thoughts at you. Should we work through Christmas? Should we shut down over Christmas? If we choose to work through Christmas, how do we get through it? What are your general thoughts in that regard, Steph?
Okay, I think over Christmas and January, there should be at least a week to two taken off. And the reason why I say that is because the same way, our laptops need to reboot, we need to reboot as well. If we work through, I think you will burn out. And then come February, instead of being, or even January, at a point where you're like ready to go for the whole year, you're going to be, dragging your legs along. So I think it's really important to take some time. It doesn't have to be the whole amount of time if you want to do something, because I'm going to be honest, Ed, I'm probably going to be doing some things for my business as well, right? I'll be the first to put up my hand that I will not be taking.
I'm a zombie. I burnt out 5 years ago. I'm just a endless burnt out nervous wreck. So I'm going to work through it. I can't get any more burnt out than I am, so I may as well carry on.
But remember, Ed, you still got a whole year ahead if you do work all the way through. So you've got to really keep that in mind as well.
Oh, there we go. You are a based red-pilled lady, Steph, is all I can say. Now, Steph, before we finish up, please tell us a bit about your services. I know you had a really successful business, and congratulations, the pilot of your business planning workshop was really successful. You do a lot of one-on-one coaching. Tell us a bit about your workshops and your services and what you've got cooking for our wonderful followers out there.
Thanks, Ed. Sure. So in 2 weeks' time, I do have another 2024 planning workshop taking place, where we actually work through together the 3 stages of planning for your business, and we're making sure that by the end you have something tangible to go away with and implement in the new year. And I'm also offering like a half an hour sounding board session in the new year, because when you come back refreshed, Ed, what happens is you might have a different perspective on what you've done with this side of the year. So I'm offering that as well to anyone that joins. And then, I can be their sounding board. I can challenge them and I can ask the right questions there. So that's coming up. And I'm an accountability partner as well. So if you're great with the planning, but you just don't have the accountability there, people can jump on a call with me and we can sort of have a chat about that and see, what it is that sort of, not going right sort of thing. Because, when we're in our own businesses, there's only ourselves that is holding ourselves accountable, right? So also do that. And yeah, there's a few other things as well that might be happening over Christmas, which I'm excited about, but I'm going to keep them quiet for now. So
there we go. Bit of secret squirrel there. I like it. Steph, thank you for your time. If you just come in, like, repost, comment. If you're watching a recording, please connect with Steph and myself. Steph, can we get a closing thought from you to get everyone thinking, and we'll sign off on that one?
yeah, just start thinking about next year. I don't think it hurts to, think about what you want to do, what direction you want to take your business in, and just let that that seed sort of be in your mind, because then that will escalate on its own, right? Once we just give ourselves that space to be able to think about it.
Oh, Steph, brilliant. Love your work. Thank you so much. I'm going to get back to my fun in Western Sydney. So there we go. It's all happening. Tell you what, it is hot out here. I got to say, it is a few degrees warmer when you head out here. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine it is, Ed.
A few degrees warmer. Now, Steph, thank you so much. I got to say, I'm loving Western Sydney today. I'm going to go eat some Arabic food. Friends, love your work. Steph, you're awesome. So are you. Keep up the greatness, everyone. Love your work. Oh, keep
Have a
winning.
great day.
Bye.